Lady Vol coverage today brought to you by Rick Terry Jewelry Design. I'll tell you more about them. Tennessee loses to South Carolina. I don't think there's any shame in that. And actually, I believe that Kim Caldwell with 3 McDonald's All-Americans will be at the point, not next season, but the season after that, where talent shouldn't be an overriding issue why you lost a game. But clearly, South Carolina was the most talented team, so Tennessee is not there yet.
No, they're not. And I don't think, I applaud Kim Caldwell for not making excuses and wanting to win every game. But Tennessee's on a 3-game losing streak. But, okay, they lose on the road at Vanderbilt by 1. Anybody that has ever covered a game at Vanderbilt's gym knows that's the most difficult gym for a road team to play in college basketball. I think you would agree with that.
It's stupid. Like, stupid.
It really is.
If you're on one end, there's no way in God's creation the players on the other end of the floor can hear you. I mean, there's no way.
None whatsoever. It's absolutely insane, and it shouldn't be allowed. Now, then they go and lose to Texas when Kim Caldwell's going into labor and not coaching the game. You don't think there was a little bit of a distraction for them in that when that's happening right there?
I figured there probably was.
I'm sorry?
I figured there probably was.
Right. And so they lose that game, by the way, also on the road against a top 10 team, and they lose by 4. No shame in that. Then they come home and they lose to number 2 ranked South Carolina, 70-63. They put on a furious comeback in the fourth quarter, but it just wasn't enough, and they lose. South Carolina is the more talented team. There's no shame in that, like you said. Tennessee still has some players not equipped to run what Kim Caldwell wants to run. Jillian Hollingshead, to be just not trying to call her out too much, but she can't run the full court press the way that they need her to. Look, guys, I'm with Dave. Kim Caldwell has the number 1 recruiting class in the country right now, the best recruiting class in the country, one of the best recruiting classes of the last 5 or 6 years, if you look at the amount, the sheer volume of talent coming into this program.
Let me ask
I
you.
wouldn't be surprised.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
I wouldn't be surprised, Dave, if they make a Final Four run next year, because you know this, when you get a lot of young players in basketball, they start to gel by tournament season, and then they can make a
run though. I mean, a close loss in the Sweet 16 is a run to the Final Four.
I wouldn't be surprised if they go to the Final Four next year, but I'm going to go ahead. I did this with Josh Heupel and I was wrong. I'm going to do it with Kim Caldwell though. And I don't mean like that. I didn't mean to say that, guys. Don't clip me saying that. Kim Caldwell's winning the 2027 national championship in basketball. In 2026-27, Kim Caldwell's going to win the national title.
Well, at least you're putting it off by a year. I will take that. The show represented by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney, banksandjones.com, as we broadcast live from the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln Studios, East Tennessee's largest volume dealer. Our Lady Vol coverage, and they will bring you our poll question as well. Give me 4 letter grades for Kim Caldwell, because we've only got 4 spots on the poll question. So give me 4 letter grades to Kim Caldwell to this point. Is it A, B, C, D? Is it, is it B, C, D? It wouldn't be B, C, D, F. You think about that. Rick Terry Jewelry Design, they want to be your jeweler looking for affordable game day jewelry, a Tennessee tradition. RickTerryJewelry.com. I would give her a B+. I don't know if that's going to be an option, but what would you give her to this point?
I'd give her an A. I'm going A, B, C, and then F. No one's giving her an F, but I'm giving her an A. I wouldn't even go B+. Dave, if you remember, John Adams on our show, who covers the Lady Vols more than anybody, was saying straight up, this team is not built to do what Kim Caldwell wants to do. She has got a massive uphill climb because of how the team Kelly Harper constructed. And within a year, she's got this team 15-5. Yes, they're probably not going to be in the top 25 after this week, but they put up a fight against South Carolina. They put up a fight at Texas, a top 10 team. They have faced they lost to Oklahoma and LSU both at the last second. And then they lost at Vanderbilt on the last second, which is an impossible place to play. They got nothing to be ashamed of with how they've played this year. And given what she inherited, again, it's not that the players were bad. It's that we didn't think they were equipped to run Kim Caldwell's system. And then she went through the transfer portal, got a bunch of players. And what did I keep telling you guys? She sacrificed shooting. This is the real story with Kim Caldwell. And this is the underrated part. she saw her player evaluation was incredible because she found players who were all horrible from three at their respective schools, and she lives and dies by 3-point shooting. Kim Caldwell made the calculation that if they can run my system, they'll get a lot more good looks and their 3-point shooting will improve. And she was right about that. I mean, she nailed that prediction. I didn't see that being the case. So, I mean, I'm giving her an A. John Adams would probably give her an A++ if he were on our show, funny enough. This is more impressive than what Josh Heupel did his first year at Tennessee when he took over a disaster and went 7-6. Guys, Tennessee hasn't been uncompetitive in any of the games this year. They've put up a fight in every single game they've lost. The Lady Vols look, this program is back, and I'll say this.
Wait, can't say back. I mean
they're coming back. They're
okay, but they're not going to win 7 championships or whatever Pat Summitt won. That's
Pat
back.
Summitt wouldn't win 7. Pat Summitt could not win 8 championships if she was coaching today. That's not possible.
By the way, I want to be sure and thank David for throwing in there. Kim C is hot. And I mean hot. Thank you, David. I appreciate that.
Yes.
But I'm sure she appreciates
Yes. Forget the grades. Where do you rate her on a scale of 1 to 10?
I think the hottest thing she's done is not how she looks, but bouncing back from the baby.
Yeah, no, I agree. Hey, the husband basically pulled a Patrick Mahomes' wife. She got the Lady Vols job, and he's like, all right, we're having a baby now. I got to secure the bag.
Right.
But look, I'm going to say this. If Kim Caldwell does what I think she's going to do, it'll be more impressive. As impressive, at least, as the Pat Summitt run at Tennessee. Now, you guys are going to call me crazy on that, but Dave, let me break this down. Let me break this down real quick. Pat Summitt was a good coach, adjusted well, did a lot of things. And and I got to say, she was great because what I'm about to say, it's not like Tennessee was the only place that was like this. There were about 5 other schools that were like this, but Tennessee's the only one that lasted. For instance, Louisiana Tech did not. But Pat Summitt uniquely benefited from Tennessee embracing Title IX before most other states did in the 70s. So Tennessee had a monopoly on recruiting that other schools did not have. Now, for those who don't know this, before it was a sanctioned sport, you probably know this, Dave, under Joan Cronin, the Lady Vols were a very successful program in the 60s. I mean, they were doing very well because Tennessee was one of the first states. It's Tennessee, Iowa, and like 2 other states that fully embraced sanctioned women's sports and were fighting for it as early as after World War II. So Tennessee was embedded with a litany of basketball talent because there had been women playing basketball for so long in the state of Tennessee that weren't doing it elsewhere. Now, also that led to the rules being totally different for Tennessee. I don't know if you guys know this, but back in those days, women, like, there was offense and defense in women's basketball, 3 on one side, 3 on the other. And Pat Summitt basically forced and strong-armed Tennessee to change the rules of high school basketball so she could recruit within the state. But she was able to recruit because of Tennessee's Title IX embracement. And then that propelled Tennessee to a certain level. The same way Gino Auriemma was able to recruit. Let's call it what it is, Dave. Gino Auriemma took advantage of UConn's ties to ESPN when ESPN was the only network in town covering women's basketball at the time. And all those, how many former UConn players got jobs at ESPN? There is a legitimate question on how good of an actual in-game coach.
They didn't give out jobs to UConn players just because they went to UConn.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
Parker has a job. Carol Lawson had a job. The most prominent players are going to get that.
There was a suspicious collection of former UConn players getting those color commentator jobs for the women's basketball program that was not there elsewhere. And I'm just going to say the monopoly they had was incredible. I don't blame Gino Auriemma, but there's a question about Gino Auriemma's in-game coaching ability. Because since other teams have caught up on the recruiting trail, Dave, have you noticed he still hasn't won a national title in 9 years? And I mean, that stands out a little bit. I actually think as an in-game tactician, Pat Summitt's probably a better tactician than Gino Auriemma was. We saw Pat Summitt win a national title in different ways. Gino, though, look, where Pat Summitt was too principled, I guess you could give her credit for that, but it wasn't smart. she didn't believe in using recruiting advantages that her program had. And so she had a problem with Gino doing that. And I mean, like, Dave, let's just be honest. Like Pat Summitt, I'll just say it this way. If she were a football coach, she would say that Miami shouldn't be able to use South Beach as a recruiting tool to get football players.
Well, I'll just leave it at this. I think they use touring the campus as a recruiting inducement. I don't think they said you're going to get a job at ESPN in 4 years. Adam is absolutely loving Kim Caldwell. Like Ellie Mae Clampett, pretty as can be, but tough as nails. What do you think of the Ellie Mae Clampett comparison? Give us an update on our poll question. Sports Treasures carrying over 5 million sports treasures and so much more. Follow on Facebook for the best sports memorabilia daily updates. Go to facebook.com. The link's right down below. Go to Sports Treasures TN. Update on our poll question, Caleb?
Our poll question is, what grade would you give Kim Caldwell her first year? 82% say A, 18% say B. Nobody says C or F.
Right.
Because it would be ridiculous to give her a C or an F.